Fans, welcome to another OneSoccer Hangouts. I'm your host, Asa Rahman. Happy to be joined by our play-by-play guy, our host, anchor, analyst, color commentator, Adam Jenkins. He's done pretty much everything for us. Our versatile attacker, we'll call you that today. Thank you so much once again, Adam. And Oliver Platt, our tactician, in the back. He's the stats man. He knows what's going on. Usually the smartest man on the show. But today we have Shamit Shome joining us from the Montreal Impact and formerly of the FC Edmonton Academy. Shamit, thanks so much for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
And I understand that you're hunkered down like the rest of us in quarantine. I want to know how you're spending your day, Shamit.
Yeah, I think it's just about, finding ways to keep myself busy. So, I've been reading books, doing some schoolwork, playing video games, watching Netflix, just, making time go by. And it hasn't been too bad. I think at the end of the day, I think it's been going by pretty quick, and hopefully we can all get through this together and, come up better on the other side.
Adam, how are you doing? What's new with you?
Oh, what's new with me? Not a whole lot, man. Doing a lot of bike riding lately, which is fun. I get a little cabin fever when I stay in too long, so I've been going out for some bike rides around the country out here and just trying to stay away from people and still get some exercise. So a couple 26-kilometer bike rides in the past few days, and then doing some studying for flight training, just the textbook stuff because the airports are all still closed.
So you guys are studying. That's good. Good for you guys. Oliver Platt. What are you studying?
Well, yeah, I'm not going to follow that one up from Adam. I don't think I've left the house in about 3 days. So, not a whole lot. Certainly not 26-kilometer bike rides.
Yeah, Shamit, you mentioned you're studying. So we'll get to the question that I'm sure your parents want to know. How are the studies going? Yeah. And when can they brag to all your aunties and uncles about you getting your engineering degree, Shamit?
Yeah, it's been going good. I think they're pretty relieved. I actually just wrote my last exam, I think, my entire undergrad a couple of days ago on last Thursday.
Congrats.
So, if I pass that, then in a couple of weeks, I'll know I'm good to go. And then, my parents will be pretty relieved.
How tough has it been to balance that with soccer now that you're playing full-time in MLS?
Yeah, it's definitely been hard, but I think it's possible. I think it's possible for anybody to do as long as you, stay committed to what you want to do and keep yourself disciplined and, manage your time well. And, in the end of the day, I'm just thankful that it all worked out well and I was able to, finish it successfully.
Yeah. Has the quarantine helped out with the studies at Concordia?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't want to say it's been a good thing about the quarantine, right. But I won't lie. With our preseason that we had and stuff and traveling a lot, I felt pretty behind. And so having this quarantine the first week was actually perfect for me to catch up. And then after that, I got sick of it. But no, it was good. It was good to have some time to catch up with my schoolwork with the quarantine because there was nothing else to do. So I was literally just studying every day, getting it done.
Yeah, that's honest.
You hear all these stories about professional athletes who are top of their game and trying to keep their nutrition, their fitness, everything super sharp, and then still pursuing studies on the side. Haley Wickenheiser, she's retired now, but she was playing for the national team while she was going to University of Calgary. Now she's working on her medical degree. Marcus Stroman blew out his ACL during his rehab. He finished his studies at Duke. I'm wondering if there's something about the discipline it takes to be a successful professional athlete that helps you multitask and time manage to accomplish these things. Because most people would be unbelievably proud about being one of a engineering student or a professional athlete. You're doing both. So do you find some carryover between the two?
Yeah, I think it's maybe the mentality that we have as professional athletes to, on the field, we're always pushing ourselves to be, the best player we can. And that's why, we become good at our craft, I guess. And I guess because of that, we're able to, let's say if we're interested in other things, we're able to translate that over, I guess. And so because school and engineering was an interest of mine, I was really able to, discipline myself to be committed to that as well. And, put the same effort that I do on the field with soccer, off the field with school, I guess.
Is there any crossover between engineering and soccer in terms of the actual content of what you're learning? There's more science than ever in soccer, I guess, nowadays, and even a little bit of math when you look at analytics and stuff like that. Do you find there's anything that helps from engineering in soccer?
I wouldn't say directly, but I guess, at the end of the day, both topics include, problem solving and just thinking quick and being smart and, just being adaptable. And I guess that's what I would say is, directly translatable, but the game's continuing to grow, and I'm sure, as it goes, I'll continue to find different ways that it really does translate over.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the education goals. Wonder what your professional goals are, especially for this year, and how those might have changed.
Yeah, I think, building off of last year, I think last year was the year I really, broke out from, the first couple of years that I was in Montreal. And, this year I just want to build on that. I think, Offensively, I want to do more with the team to be, more of a present force going forward from the midfield. And on top of that, just being more consistent. I think last year I started off the season very well. Middle of the season, I was doing all right. And then towards the end of the season, I kind of fell off. And that's when I think maybe it was fatigue from just playing so many games and just not being used to it. So this year, I really think I want to be a lot more consistent. And I think with the way things are going with quarantine now, is if we do have games, we'll have a lot more games packed into the season. And so it's just about who can be the most consistent to play, on a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and just being fit enough to do that. So that's probably my go-to, is just to be more consistent, more offensively, focused, and just being someone the coach can rely on.
And speaking of the coach, that was one of the main storylines, obviously, heading into this season, was having the new boss in town, just a guy named Thierry Henry taking over. I'm wondering what that experience has been like. Obviously, you're not in direct contact every single day with him in terms of being at the pitch and practicing, but still, with whether it's Zoom or team hangouts, however you guys have been doing that, what's it been like learning from one of the best strikers of all time? And has that sort of glimmer of one of the greatest footballers of all time sort of worn off, and he's just Coach Thierry now?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, to be honest. I mean, he's a big legend of the game, and he knows so much about the game, and it's just very cool to see what his mentality is, how he thinks about the game and his thought process. And already so far, there's so many things that I feel like me individually and us as a team, we're learning into how, he wants us to play and how we should play. And we're starting to see, what his mentality is, and that's starting to translate into our team. And, just based on the career he has, he's a winner, and that's his mentality. And, I think that's starting to translate to us, which is really important. So it's been great. And to answer your last question, I'd say, at the beginning, it was actually really intimidating, I think, just because, this guy's been at the top of the top, and now he's coaching us, and who knows what he thinks. But, I think after, the first 2 or 3 weeks, it kind of settled in that he's our boss now, and, there's no problem with it. He's super, relaxed and cool, but he's demanding. But no, it's been great.
Yeah, you mentioned how the way in which he thinks about the game, and obviously he's come from working under Arsene Wenger and Pep Guardiola and some of the best coaches of our generation. What have you kind of noticed from him so far compared to maybe other coaches you've worked under?
I think it's little details, and even just how he sees the game and how he wants you to train, how he wants you to play. There's just so much depth into the way he thinks that it's something I've never seen before with any of the other coaches I've had. And with Montreal, we've probably I've gone through 3 or 4 coaches in 4 years, and with Thierry, you can see there's a difference in the way he thinks, and it's really cool, to be honest. And just his mentality of how he was like as a player and how he is as a coach is similar, and it's the exact same almost in terms of like the demands he has for the team as he has back when he was playing.
Can he still hold his own in training?
Oh yeah, he's done some things in training where we're kind of like, wow, I wish we could do that, but yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Shamit, do you feel like you have to earn another coach's trust? I mean, you did it with Remy Gard, and then with Wilmer Cabrera, you have to earn their trust. Do you feel like you have to do that once again here with Thierry Henry?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's just something that, I've had to do the past 3 or 4 years that I'm used to it, and I know the process of it. And I think that's something that's actually, benefited me, is at least now I know the process of what I have to go through. Because let's say with Remy Gard, it wasn't easy at first. With Wilmer, it wasn't easy at first, but at the end of the day, it came out well. I earned their trust, and it went well. And the same thing's going to happen with Thierry, where it might be a process where, I have to make sure he can trust me as a player, but I know I'm capable of it. And I know I'll be able to make that impression on him where he can trust me going forward and be reliable and rely on me to help the team going forward.
Shamit, obviously a player that a lot of people are watching this year, and especially people maybe watching the show are keeping their eye on because they're fans of the CPL, is Joel Waterman. I just wondered how he's getting on and what your impressions of him have been so far. Yeah,
he's been good. I mean, he's one of my good friends on the team now, just because, we're both from, the similar part of Canada. We get along well. We have a lot of mutual friends. So it's been cool to get to know him. As a player, he's been great. I think for a guy like him to come from the CPL, just because he's, so good on the ball, so composed on the ball, so technical on the ball as a center back, I think that's helped his transition into MLS. Yeah. I think obviously, there's some parts where, he knows that maybe being more aggressive, more strong is where he can improve on. But I think so far so good. He's been great for us, and he got his chance early on in the season, and he's took it and he's ran with it, and hopefully he can keep building on it. So I'm hoping he can keep it up. But he's been great so far.
I'm curious anytime I can get USports or CIS into the show, because that was sort of where I got my soccer stardom broadcast, was with the Ryerson Rams. Did you two ever play against each other when he was with the Spartans and you were in Alberta?
No, we tried to figure it out to see if we did, but
yeah,
we never really crossed over. There was one year where we did play, like the same year we were both playing, but we never ended up playing each other, unfortunately. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then also I think when in like 2015, 2014, when I played with the provincial team, we actually went to Trinity Western with the school he went to. And so it's just another chance where maybe we ran into him, but I think he might have been injured when we played against them, at that time.
Just one more USports for you before we move on again, just because I try and take these opportunities whenever I can get them to ask, because a lot of our players, some go NCAA, some are straight over to Europe trying to make it pro the whole time. But clearly for people like you and Joel, where you value education and trying to make the most out of your footballing career, do you think USports or CIS gets the respect it deserves? I mean, it's sort of people who know it seem to think that it's underrated in the global scheme of sports, but as someone who's been in that system and done very well, winning Rookie of the Year, do you think it gets the respect it deserves?
Not necessarily. I think it still is a bit underrated. There's a lot of quality players that are out there. It's just because I guess it's not as big of a program as the NCAA that it doesn't get noticed as much. But the top programs and the top players definitely have what it takes to compete in the NCAA and whatnot. And so I definitely would say it's an underrated league, but we're starting to see with the CPL now too that those players that are performing well in USports, it's translating over into CPL, which is, just good for showing off USports and Canadian talent.
Mm-hmm. How much talent is in Edmonton? We see more players coming from that area. You develop there as well. Tell us about the game in Edmonton and how it's helped you develop yours.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talent. And when I look back, when I was back there, when I was growing up, there were a lot of players better than me back then, but some of them didn't have the opportunity to play professionally just because FC Edmonton came up a bit too late. Even the CPL came up too late, so they missed that opportunity. But I think as of right now, it's still a hotbed of talent, especially with the academy, and we're developing players. And we're seeing with FC Edmonton last season how there was a lot of local players playing for us, and we did well. So no, I'd say Edmonton's definitely a hotbed. There's a lot of potential there, and hopefully we can keep pushing out more and more high quality players.
Well, obviously the CPL wasn't there for you, but you did get that 1 year in the NASL. How important was that for you in terms of opening up the opportunities to go into MLS and have the career you're having now?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, never in my first year in the NASL did I think it would go like that. And then, automatically jump into MLS. So it was all, it was a very crazy year for me, but looking back on it, it was amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world. The NASL was definitely, different. It was very physical, something that I wasn't very used to. And so it made me adjust my game and, helped me grow as a player. I think maybe looking back on it, even if I maybe stayed another year there to develop, it could have been good. But then maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to jump into the MLS like I did. So, looking back on it, it was really great. Being part of Edmonton was, it was great playing for my hometown team. And, I love that. And I'm happy it all worked out where, now I'm in the MLS playing for Montreal.
Do you still watch out for the Eddies in the CPL and keep in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, I keep in touch with a lot of guys on the team. I mean, there's so many locals that, I got a lot of friends on the team and I've been following them, a lot. Jeff's a good friend of mine. He's been a great mentor for me. So yeah, I've been following them a lot. My dad has season tickets. He tries to go whenever he can. And yeah, it's pretty good.
Was your dad always a soccer fan, or did you sort of introduce and bring him into the game?
Yeah, I don't think my dad was too big of a soccer fan. It's kind of, he just threw me into it. And then, once he saw I was getting better and better, he started growing more interest in it. And now he's a big fan, which is pretty cool to see. My mom's, a bit more on the reserve side. She's more the school side and my dad's the soccer side, but it's a good balance.
That's awesome. You mentioned how last year was a breakout year for you. You earned the trust of Remy Gardes. You got regular minutes with the first team in MLS play. And then with Wilmer Cabrera, you had your breakouts in the Canadian Championship, started and played every minute of the two legs of the final. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. When Wilmer first came in, actually, I think I was actually on the bottom of his list just because my form wasn't too good, coming out of when Remy got fired and when Wilmer came in. And so when I got my chance in the Canadian Cup, it was a massive opportunity for me to show him what I can do. And, it went very well. We won the first leg, and then the second leg, we obviously won it in PKs, but just the entire experience of, playing those two finals, for me, it was the first, big final I've ever been a part of. Yeah. So it was nerve-wracking, but it was amazing. And, having won the trophy makes it so much better. It was, the best moment of my professional career so far, I'd say.
What do you think of the Canadian Championship as a competition? Because obviously, last year was the first year of the CPL teams. We've got semi-pro teams in there now. How would you like to see that competition continue to grow? Because it's obviously been a pretty big one in Canadian soccer, and it's just getting even bigger now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great. I thought last year was great, just having all the CPL teams involved. I was a part of the Canada Cup, I guess, in 2016 when it was just like 4 or 5 teams with FC Edmonton. Yeah. And back then it wasn't as intense just because everybody knew it was going to be either Vancouver, Toronto or Montreal that would be in the final. But I think this year with last year with Cavalry doing so well, the CPL really changes it up and it makes it feel like a proper trophy or a proper championship system, I guess. And, it's been great, and hopefully it continues to grow and it gets better and better. But, already in our first year, we saw Cavalry pull off an upset, and, they gave us a good run for our money in the semifinals too. So let's hope it can keep going from here.
Yeah. All right, Shamit, we have our first question from the YouTube chat. BeCold93 is asking if you were disappointed not to play against Edmonton last year in the Canadian Championship, and what were your thoughts about playing against CPL clubs, especially on the road?
Yeah, I was actually pretty disappointed not to play Edmonton. I was hoping it would have worked out and I could have gone home and played back home. It would have been, very cool. But, at the end of the day, we played against Calgary, and that was pretty close to home. So I had a lot of family and friends drive up to watch that.
Nice.
And it was cool. The level of CPL is, to be honest, is better than what I thought it would be. York gave us a challenge too in the quarterfinals, and then Cavalry were very, very hard. And playing away from home wherever you go is difficult. And so I'd say it was a very cool experience for us. It kind of felt like felt like watching those Premier League games in the FA Cup where they're playing a lower division side, but there's just so much intensity because the lower division side really wants to fight and give you a good battle. And that's what both teams did. And it was actually really difficult to beat both of them.
Yeah. For me, just one more question on the Canadian Championship. I'm curious, obviously those finals at BMO Field, it's Canada's national stadium in downtown Toronto, and the atmosphere, especially Toronto-Montreal two-legged final, is pretty incredible. But when you go through the war and you get through PKs and you have that trophy, does that sort of thing give the team a genuine sense of belief that things are going the right way? It's obviously only two other MLS sides in that tournament, but to beat TFC, to have the performance that you guys put together, does that give you the belief that things are going in the right direction for Montreal Impact?
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say based on, how we were doing the past 3 seasons before that, both in league and in the Canada Cup, what we did last year was great for us to really, take that next step forward and, set us up for this year, being in the Champions League. And I think for the club, it was just a big confidence boost in terms of we're going in the right direction. We're doing the right things. Now we just have to keep our gas on the pedal and keep pushing forward.
All right, we'll get to a few rapid fire questions now for Shamit. And I'll start things off with your go-to quarantine meal when you're cooking at home.
Oh, I make a nice little chicken rice bowl, chicken, like barbecue chicken, rice, and then just throw some vegetables on there, peppers, onions, corn, peas. That's what I'd say, yeah.
Nice. Easy, well done.
Adam, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I want to start. I guess back to the engineering degree. What was the hardest course you had to take at Concordia?
Oh, there was a lot of hard courses.
In engineering, I don't doubt that. But if you had to pick one,
I'd say there's this one class. It's like Calc 4. It's like complex differential equations. It's like half partial derivatives, all this crazy stuff. I think our midterm and final, our averages were both like 30 or 40%. So it was curved like mad. Oh, it was hard. It was really hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Calc 4. Okay. I have nightmares about that one tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy. That was tough.
What's the best thing you've watched on Netflix during the quarantine?
Best thing I've watched on Netflix
or any streaming service?
I'd say Money Heist, because it just came out. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Did you watch it Did you watch it in Spanish with the English subtitles, or did you?
Yeah, I think you have to watch it in Spanish. It's so much better in Spanish.
Shamit, I'm on the same page as you, buddy.
I love that.
I'll stick with the food. What's your quarantine junk food?
Quarantine junk food.
Are you allowed to admit this with Montreal Impact coaches?
Yeah, I'll admit it. To be honest, I'll say I'm a big sweet tooth, and my favorite chocolate bar is Reese. So a nice little Reese bar is what I have when I want to cheat.
Follow up to that, who is the biggest sweet tooth on the team?
Oh, I'd be my teammate, James Pantemis. He's a goalkeeper.
Pantemis.
Yeah.
And he's my roommate too, so it's bad because I don't think of me. And he just munching on his candy, and I'm like, ugh. Yeah, it's tough. He tests me mentally to not want to cave into getting some candy off.
Going back to academia, if you hadn't studied engineering, what would your second choice have been?
I'd say I think like physiotherapy or something like that, just because, as an athlete, your body is what is your business almost. So, and it's something that interests me. So I guess that's probably something I would do, but I know it's a lot of memory, and I'm not very good with memory. So I think I'd struggle to do that, but I think that'd be, my next biggest interest.
Do you think you'll incorporate the engineering into sport? Are you going to keep the sport focus going?
Sorry?
Are you going to incorporate the engineering into sport, like with whatever you do after soccer? You think you'll, continue to focus on sport in some way?
Yeah, it'd be cool if I could kind of find a way to bring both together. And I'm sure there will be ways to pop up with the way the game's growing, with the way technology is growing. You can see that's trying to become infused more and more. And hopefully, I still have 10 or 11 years of playing soccer, hopefully. And within that time frame, I kind of figure out a way to infuse both together, just to, make the best of both worlds. And I think that would be the dream.
All right, last one. What's your go-to workout music?
Go-to workout music? Definitely hip hop. That's, not too hardcore, got a good beat. So, music like Drake, Tory Lanez, those are kind of songs I like to listen to when I work out. Something that's, not too intense, not too hardcore, but has good rhythm and it's upbeat and, gets my body moving.
Nice. I shouldn't have said last one. Adam, you got any more?
No, I wanted to follow up on that music question, because I know that I have everyone has a workout playlist if you're in the gym a lot, but I know that there's some songs that you just kind of like, okay, it's keeping my mood up. But for me, whenever Cinderella Man comes on, I just feel like I could be almost done my workout and I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Yeah. So do you have that one song that'll just fire you up no matter what?
I'd say, I guess there's one. It's a song by Logic called Every Day.
Yeah.
And I feel it's just one of those songs that I feel like speaks to me. And so I like listen. So as soon as I hear that, it's not the most upbeat, but just, what he's trying to, I guess, pursue in his message in the song is what, gets me fired up, and kind of how you feel. Maybe not as intense as you feel with running through a wall, but maybe just putting in an extra effort for the last 5-10 minutes of my workout.
Yeah, if it's an empty gym, I'm dancing and singing along. So it's
Well done. All right, on to another YouTube question. Harold Lopez Garros says, Shamit, do you prefer playing as a defensive midfielder or as an attacking midfielder? What's your position of choice?
Yeah, I'd say, something in between, probably the attacking midfielder. Just because I like to find, those half spaces that are a bit higher up the field, not necessarily as a number 10, but, those half spaces that fall into, the play for having a two number 8s in the midfield. And yeah, I'd say that's my favorite position, I'd say.
Nice. So you probably want to go ahead.
Right. So is there anyone you kind of model yourself on as a player?
I'd say there's a couple of guys like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. Those two are, really big time players. For me growing up, I was a big Arsenal fan, so I watched Fabregas a lot, and I really liked his style as well. So those are the three I'd say that, I really like to follow and watch their game and see how they play.
You mentioned earlier you play some video games. I'm assuming you play some FIFA?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit as well, yeah. So you would probably change your position on there to a CAM, an attacking midfielder?
I mean, if I want to be specific, I'd probably just say I'd stick in the CM so I can do both.
Yeah.
But in FIFA, I'd definitely go CAM so I could be more involved. Definitely, get some goals. So I'm not driving from the back, trying to have to drive to the entire field. So in FIFA, I'd definitely say Cam. Yeah.
So we're happy to have you on here as one of the few people with a current FIFA rating. So we thank you for coming on, and we can discuss your rating a little bit now if you're okay with it.
Of course.
I want to know what you've been working on that you could maybe change and adjust your personal rating. Your pace to the 70, shooting 52, passing 59, dribbling 63, defense 60, physicality 69. So what's something that you've worked on that you'd adjust according to those ratings?
To be honest, I'm surprised when they put my physicality at 69. I feel like that's
right.
One of the highest ones on the list.
Take it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hope passing would be higher and shooting. Those two, passing definitely I think should be higher, hopefully. Shooting, I know I need to work on, so I think, it's kind of fair, but hopefully I can get that up. Dribbling, I'm surprised they gave me 60 for dribbling. I don't dribble too much, but it's something that I know I need to add in my game is dribbling and, driving forward once I get on the half turn. So there's stuff that makes sense. There's stuff that doesn't make sense, but I'd say it's a pretty fair score. I think my first year when I was here, I think my rating was really, really bad. So I was getting roasted by my friends, but this year was decent. So I'll take it.
All right. I think the game's made in Vancouver, so you can probably get those adjusted. We can get that arranged.
Exactly.
We'll put in a call for you.
Yeah.
When the games come out, do you and some of your friends across professional football that play compare your ratings right away? Like, is anyone saying like, "Oh, I got a 60 this year," or whatever? Is that something that you guys are? It's more of a joking sort of fun thing, or you kind of get offended maybe if you're like, "I don't think that I'm that low there."
Yeah, I don't know. We don't. I feel like the guy, like as professional players, we don't really talk about it too much and get that banter on with each other. I think, we don't really focus on it too much. To be honest, I don't really worry about it too much. I see it mostly because my friends are the ones who are proposing it to me, and they're the ones making fun of me, and I'm like, okay, well at least I'm in the game. What are you doing? And that's how I get them to stop talking a little bit. But
I don't know if you can roast someone who's actually in FIFA.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. That's a good counterpoint.
Yeah, like I was saying, on these Hangouts, we've only had a couple who are actually in the game currently. So we thank you. Going to your national career now, you get your first call up from John Herdman earlier this year in January. What was that experience like? 4-1 win over Barbados, a couple of those, and just getting your call up, getting the cap for Canada. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was amazing for me. It was a big honor. For me, I think one of the big reasons why I wanted to get a taste of professional football is when I first got my chance with the national team at the U18 level. When I got my first taste of that and realized that, I could hold my own there, that's what really pushed me to become a pro player. And so, having this dream to play for Canada was really, one of my biggest goals. And I think going from last year, at the beginning of last year, a big goal of mine was to become a part of the national team program a bit more, just because when we had a U23 tournament in Toulon, John Herdman was actually there. And that was right after he became appointed as head coach. And just the way he is as a coach, his mentality, how he holds the team together, how he runs everything was amazing to me. And he's the kind of guy where you actually want to punch your head through a wall for him. Yeah. And so for me, that was a big goal. So being able to get my first cap and play for him in an actual, in a couple games was amazing for me. And that's something that I use as more motivation to hopefully get more caps. And I know now that the only way to get caps though is if you're doing well at the club level. So it's a really good way to maintain my motivation to keep me pushing to keep improving myself so I can become a part of the national team picture even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously before all this happened, there was the Olympic qualifiers as well. And I think a lot of people were looking at guys like yourself and Liam Fraser as potentially key parts of that team. How much was that kind of on your radar as in the early part of this season?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely something we were looking forward to, hoping, we could help Canada qualify, for the first time in a long time. For me, my last actual thing was the U20s with the national team. And I missed the championships because of injury. So I couldn't help us, try to qualify for the World Cup for the U20s. So this U23s was a big opportunity for me to kind of help and prove myself and, help us, qualify for the Olympics. Unfortunately, we didn't get to finish it, but we know that I think it's next year that they're gonna hold the Olympics and probably the qualifiers. So hopefully we can do something special then.
Do you think that Canada can qualify? Because obviously the draw's been pretty tough, so it looks like Canada would have to beat the USA or Mexico. But does that kind of opponent phase you now, or do you think Canada's growing enough to maybe go into one of those matches with hopes of winning?
No, I think we are growing enough to go into that match and think we can win that game. I mean, we know it'll be difficult, obviously, but it should be difficult if you want to qualify for the Olympics. But I think as a team with the players we have and, how the game is growing and, the youth players that are coming up both in the CPL and in MLS, we could really prove ourselves against, US or Mexico and definitely pull off a win, I'm sure.
As a young man who just got his first cap at the national team, now that you've had that taste, do you look at 2026 a little bit differently and think I'll be pretty much in the prime of my career, and if things go well, that is something that I want in my career? That's obviously club success, but for country, is that the number one goal for you right now?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that was a goal of mine even before getting that first cap. It's been the same, just to, I know that'll be good timing for me with my age. And, hopefully I can stay healthy. Hopefully I can keep improving where, I become someone that John Herdman can rely on, for the 2026 World Cup, knowing that, this is a guy that I can have there. And so everything I'm doing is also going to contribute to that. And I know that, which is why, every day I'm just trying to push myself to become, a better player.
I know that 2026 is a goal for Adam to be calling some of those games. And if he is calling those games, and Shamit, you're playing, I'm sure Adam will want a nickname or two for you. So Adam, do you have any in the works, any nicknames for Shamit? Maybe we can test run him right now.
I'm really bad at this because I grew up in a hockey dressing room and lacrosse dressing rooms where they're really lazy. So my nickname was Jenksy. So it's just add a Y on the last, but I want to hear what's a good one from you first, Shamit, so I know what to build off of here.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'll tell you what I've heard a lot.
Okay.
I've heard ShamWow.
That was going to be my first one, so I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like to hear that as being commentated on, but
no.
You got to do you, man. Whatever.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably the one I've heard the most.
What about Sherlock Shomes in the midfield?
Ooh, that's an interesting one, actually.
Okay, I got one.
To walk into
I've heard that one before.
Hey, probably. You're right, Ollie. But
okay, this is either going to do really well or it's going to fall flat. Show me the money.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one too.
You've heard that?
Right.
Okay,
that's a good one. I think I like that one.
That's out of the Gareth Wheeler book of.
Yeah, we've been working together for too long already.
Yeah. Well, Shamit, thank you so much for coming on with this. It's been a blast. The half hour's blown by quickly. Wish you all the best going forward. Can't wait to see you back on the pitch. Thanks everyone for watching our OneSoccer Hangouts. For Adam Jenkins, Oliver Platts, and Asa Rahman. See you next time. Have a good one.
Thanks, Shamit. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shamit. All the best, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Cheers, bud. Thanks.